Hi and welcome to another journal tutorial. In this video, we'll take a look at the journal headers and header menus. We'll also touch on the footer and some other concepts that apply to different areas of the journal theme. Headers come in the form of modules and are found in our admin panel by navigating to Journal, Header, and here we see 4 header options for desktop and 3 for mobile. There are also 2 types of dedicated header menus, which we'll take a look at later in this video. We need to have at least one desktop and one mobile header created here and set them as active in the skin. With one of each module created, we access Journal, Skin, Header, and here we see the module selectors where we can assign both headers. We simply pick each header from its listing. The list will show all the available modules and will be updated as you create or delete headers. Let's go back to our header section and access the active desktop module where we see several tabs, so let's go through each one. Most individual settings are optional and don't need to be explicitly set if the default appearance is satisfactory. The header name is required and this is what we see in the module selector in our skin. We see a background and a full width background option, and the difference between them is that the former applies to the site content width container and the latter to the entire width of the screen. The site content width is defined in Journal, Styles, Page Layout, Default, which is our global style, Site Container, Max Width. Let's track back to our header. So the background is normally used in box width designs that don't extend to the full width of the browser. And the full width option does exactly what you'd expect. It adds the background to the entire width of the screen. Border can be used in some cases as well as the shadow, which can be helpful with the sticky menu. It adds some visible separation from the site content. The header height defines the actual height of the logo area container. The max width option allows for a custom header content width, and this can differ from the global site width we just touched on. You can input something large, like 9999, as this ensures coverage over any screen width. You can also make use of the lateral padding and add some breathing room on each side. The homepage override section allows you to change some of these options, but only for the homepage. Next, we have the logo. The actual logo image is added in the skin's header section. There are options for a standard non-retina logo, a retina logo, and an optional mobile logo. Please see our documentation link below to learn more about the logo. Back in our header, we see several styling options available, such as background, container width, and logo position. The position option works in sync with the logo align option, so if we set the position to center, we might want to change the alignment to center as well. Logo padding is used to add spacing around the logo image. This will also shrink the image down when applied on all sides. In this case, we use a breakpoint option to add some spacing on the side of the logo so we can distance it from the screen edge, but only when the screen is smaller than 1300 pixels. The breakpoint feature is a very powerful tool available to any CSS-based option throughout the journal admin. It allows you to change an option's initial state to a different one on any screen width. Simply add breakpoint rules and define a different option state to be applied at that width. Please see our documentation on the breakpoints to learn more. The logo offset option allows for fine-tuning the image placement within its container. The top bar deals with the topmost element in the header. This can display top menu modules as well as the language and/or currency selectors. The status option allows for complete removal of the top bar element and all of its contents. The rest of these options are quite straightforward and similar to the general header options we've already covered. Feel free to play around with them. On to the top menu section. This is where you assign top menus that appear in the top bar. The actual menu modules are created in Journal, Header, Top Menu. With the modules created here, we assign them to our headers in the relevant module selectors. This is not dissimilar to how the entire header is created and assigned in the skin. You can start seeing a pattern of how dynamic Journal is and how modules are created and assigned in various places. You can create different menu modules and assign them to both the desktop and mobile headers. The top menu creation is very simple and straightforward. You have options for status, menu name, an optional icon, and font override for the independent styling of each menu item. And of course the link option, which can point to any page or open any pop-up module. You can also add sub-menu items to each of your menus, as well as removing or adding new items. Let's track back to our header. Having already created and assigned a module, you can edit it directly from the place where it's being used, via the Quick Edit button, the small pencil icon seen when hovering over the module. So let's revert the changes we did in the top menu module. Next, we have the menu style, and this is where we add styling to the menu items. This is also created separately in the Styles section, in Journal, Styles, Menu Item. Here we have created several menu styles to be used on our different menu modules. The advantage of styles is that they can be applied to multiple items at once and edited from a centralized place. Most modules have override options, so the global styles can be overridden on a case-by-case basis. The menu item style refers to a single menu item, but as I've just explained, it will apply to all items within the module. There are many options here to make your menus unique. Let's change the icon color and the menu font size to see how it affects our menu. In the storefront, we see the changes. Editing or creating new styles can be done directly where the style is applied, so there isn't always a need to visit the actual style page. Let's go back and revert our changes via a quick edit. This quick edit feature is quite handy. You can do quick edits directly from the place where styles or modules are being used. The drop-down style applies to the container stemming out from the menu items that have sub-menus. This is also created in the Style section in Journal, Styles, Dropdown, but we'll quick edit it directly from the header. The Align option places the drop-down on a chosen side of the menu item. Max width and min height deal with the container dimensions. The shadow can be useful to add some separation from the page, while the border radius applies rounded corners. You can use a predefined border radius variable on all sides or play around with different corners. The background option may only be visible when there is also padding applied to the container, and this seems to act as a border. This is because the menu background comes from the menu item itself, which can have its own style applied here in this drop-down style. So it's a style within a style. We can quick edit this as well. So as you can see, styles can be added and edited from other styles or modules, regardless of how deeply nested they are. The last item in center option allows for moving the last menu item of the leftmost top menu to the center. However, this option doesn't work when the language or currency occupies the same space, but can be used in some different header designs when they are placed in a different position, like in Demo 4 for example, where the currency is on the right. Notice how we move the last menu item to the center thanks to that handy option. Back to our current header, we have an additional top menu placeholder under this top menu 2 section, which resides on the far end, as we can see in our storefront. If we don't need a second top menu here, we can just simply remove the module to free up the space, and then we can move the language and currency on that side. Play around with these options and see what works for your particular needs. Let's take a look at the secondary menu, which is yet another top menu module created in the same place as the others. This is usually added in a header outside the top bar right by the card. It can be placed before or after the card itself, and the margin option allows for spacing on either side. We also spot a different menu style with big icons and a smaller text. This is just another menu item style in which we've made the icon bigger, set the position to top, and also chose a smaller font size for the menu names. You see how just a couple of style changes can create a completely distinct menu look. Another thing to mention about this menu is how we use the conditional status option on some of the menu items. Notice we have 4 menu items in our storefront, but there are actually 6 in the module. This is because we use a condition to show the login and register menus based on customer login status. We do that in the status option on the customer tab. We want the login and register menus to only be seen by guests, which means people who aren't logged in or don't have an account, while the account and logout menus will be seen by those who are in fact logged in. Let's take a look at how this works. We log in and see the menus change according to our status. And logging out will of course revert to the previous status menus. The status option is very powerful. You can find it in menus, modules, rows or columns in the builder. You can create completely different menu systems and modules, even entire layouts, each based on the conditional statuses for devices, customer type and more. The language and currency selectors have some positioning options and their corresponding styles, which are created in the styles page, but of course can be quick edited from right here via the quick edit button. These also use a drop-down style since they display in a drop-down fashion. We apply the same drop-down style the top menu uses, but we can create different styles if we so wish. Languages and currencies are not theme related, and they are handled in the OpenCart admin in the localization section. Please search for language in our documentation to learn more. You can also globally disable these from the Journal Catalog mode in the skin, in Journal, Skins, Edit, Catalog mode. The search has its own style component with lots of options. Let's take a look inside. The categories filter is also edited from the search style. This can show all categories or just the top level ones. Lots of styling options in here as well. Further down, we find the auto suggest feature, which can be turned on or off based on different statuses. And style in great detail with the many options found in all of these subsections. The search itself cannot be moved in different places within the same header, but you can use different headers altogether, like the mega header seen in Demo 3, where the search is in the menu bar and thus stays sticky on page scroll, or the compact header seen in Demo 4 and others, where the search input is a drop-down and also part of the sticky header. Each header is different. Play around with all of them and just activate the desired one in the skin. In the cart section, we find styling options for both the cart icon and text, as well as the cart drop-down, which we call the cart content. In the cart style, we have a bunch of customizable options for the icon, count badge, and the cart text. In the cart content style, we also find lots of customization possibilities for the container itself, the products table, and the cart checkout button section. Each button can have its own style, created in Journal Styles button. If a style is left empty on Inherit, it means the default style applied globally in the skin will also apply here. In this header, the cart can be moved down in the main menu, so let's try it out. Okay, so the cart text doesn't seem to match the background very well, but we can change that in the cart style. We open the cart style and pick a lighter color for the cart text. And now the cart looks nicely in place. With the cart in the menu bar, it also benefits from the sticky menu and can always be in view as the page scrolls. The main menu section covers the main menu bar and can display up to 2 menu modules. These are created in Journal, Header, Main Menu. We'll take a look at how the main menus are built in a short while, but first let's go down the rest of these options. We have the menu item style, with which you are already familiar. There are 3 types of drop-downs in the main menu. There's a regular drop-down like this, used for multiple level categories, a mega menu drop-down, which is essentially a page builder into which you can load other layout modules, and a Flyout Menu, which itself is a separate menu module allowing for vertical and more complex menu systems. We'll dive deeper into the main menu in a minute. The mega menu style deals with the actual drop-down container of our mega menus. We can add backgrounds, borders, etc. The max height option adds a height property on the container to generate inner scroll. This is useful in cases with large mega menus that may extend out of the visible screen. Notice we have set this to 500 pixel on a breakpoint, so it only applies on screens smaller than 1024 pixels. The main menu 2 section allows for a second main menu module to be added to our header. In this case, we created a separate module with 2 menu items, as seen in our store. This can also be positioned in the logo area before or after the search, or left here in the menu bar. The desktop menu bar deals with the entire main menu element and dictates the menu height, background, and some other styling options. The sticky header is enabled here, and you can define a pixel value to be scrolled before it shall come into view. There are a few more styling options here, so check them out. One thing to note is that for the classic and mega headers, the sticky effect only applies to the menu bar. In the compact and slim headers, there is no main menu bar, and the main menu module is displayed in this section of the header, which is also the sticky element. You can see it in action in some of our demos, like Demo 4 with the compact header or Demo 10 with the slim header. Let's now take a look inside the main menu module to see how it's built. We notice here we have 4 possible menu types, with the simplest being None, which does not have any drop-down. The first menu item though is set as a flyout. The flyout menu is an external module and actually quite similar to the header main menu. It just displays its menu items vertically. It's like a menu within a menu. You can nest modules within modules to create more advanced menu systems. We'll come back to the flyout menu later. For now, let's take a look at the other menu types. The mega menu, for example, is made up of a page builder, and this means you can add rows and columns to build up whatever structure you want. When you add a row, it comes with a column and a module placeholder. Columns by default are set to 100% width to fill the entire row, but you have full control over each column's width at any resolution. We'll touch on this in a second. To add a module in a column, we click on the empty module placeholder and a pop-up with all the available modules will show up. Let's pick a catalog module, which is a category-based menu, and see how that looks. As we can see, the menu dropdown has changed into a mega menu and our catalog module has been loaded into the builder column. Let's add some spacing inside this row to give it some breathing room. We do that in the rows options and we'll add some padding. Any row and column will have dedicated styling options that can be accessed via the Edit button seen when hovering over each element. A row can have any number of columns, so let's add another one. I'm going to add a banner module in this second column. By default, columns are 100% in width and thus stacked on top of one another, but we can easily change this from the column's width option. Let's make the first column 70% and the second 30%. We want to fill the entire row such that our column spread adds up to 100%. If we look at our storefront now, we see the new layout. Let's put this menu back on Flyout and look at the drop-down menu type in our second menu item. This second menu is set up as a drop-down multi-level category menu. This works by simply choosing the menu type as drop-down and then pointing the link to the category you wish to load. Choose category from the first link option and just type the first letter of your category and it will show up in the list. The Load Subcategories option will automatically populate the drop-down submenus with subcategories that have been assigned to this subcategory in your OpenCart catalog settings. However many levels of subcategories you have assigned there will show up as nested submenus. The subcategories multilevel only works if the link is pointing to a category page. Any other link here will remove this option and present us with a custom drop-down choice. The same thing happens if we simply turn off the option. This is how you can build simple drop-downs in the main menu without multi-level subcategories. Let's put this back on and move on to the next menu. Next, we have a mega menu drop-down. We briefly covered this type in our first menu item overview. It's a builder with rows and columns into which you can add any other modules. Right here we have an 80% column with the links menu and a 20% column with the banner module. Let's take a look at the links menu module, which is created in Journal, Modules, Links menu. As you can see, there are multiple instances created and used throughout our store, some in the footer and some in the Flyout menu. This particular links menu module is populated with lots of duplicate category links just to simulate an extensive menu and how it can be set up in multiple columns within the same module. If we access Direction, Vertical Options, Columns, we see that we can split this module in up to 4 columns. And with the help of our very powerful breakpoint option, we can change this display from 4 to 2 columns on screens below 1024 pixels, or any other screen width for that matter. Lots of other styling options in the links menu module, so feel free to play around with all of them to create the ideal menu for your store. Let's go back to our main menu and look at the second builder column. The banner module has lots of customizable options. You can add a transparent overlay, an icon, text over the image, and captions below the image. A banner module may contain multiple banners in the same module and can be used for all kinds of purposes, where static or linked images might be needed. We have one more main menu item to cover, and this is also set up as a mega menu with 2 columns. We use a catalog module on the left and a products module on the right. We can see the catalog module being loaded from our modules inventory. This module is used to display category or product links with optional category images. Let's take a more comprehensive look inside this module. There are some general styling options, including the items per row feature, which allows you to set the number of grid items to be displayed per row within the module. Please visit our documentation and search for items per row to learn more. We've added 6 items here, each loading a top category from our store catalog. The catalog module item can be set to category or manufacturer. As a category, we need to define one here. The sub-item type can also be set to category or products. So what does this all mean? In the storefront, we see the item itself, which is a top category. Then we see the sub-items as subcategories with their corresponding category image on hover. Back in our admin, if we choose products as the sub-item type, these sub-items will display actual product links, again with their corresponding product image on hover. If we choose the menu type as a manufacturer, then products assigned to that particular manufacturer will show up as our sub-menu links. In the right column, we use a products module, which itself is a very robust module that can load products based on advanced rules. By now, you understand how the builder works. We have the row with the row options, we have the columns, and there can be one or as many as you want within a row. Each column can have a custom width to fill the row precisely the way you want. In the column options, we find several styling opportunities. This is where the column width can be manipulated for smaller screens via our custom breakpoint feature. One other thing about the mega menu I'd like to mention is the additional styling options for the mega menu container width. Full refers to being full content width, as we can see in our previous menu item. Notice the drop-down width extending to our site content width, which in this case is 1280 pixels. The next option refers to being full browser width, which ignores the site content. Additionally, we have a custom width option, which, if it's turned on, will allow us to input our own custom pixel width. There's also an option to center align the entire drop-down when used with a custom width. So we covered the available main menu types, and now let's go back to menu 1 and look at the externally loaded Flyout menu. With the main menu type set to Flyout, we see the module selector where the Flyout menu can be assigned. We can quick edit it right here like any other module or style. But let's go and see what it's created, and that is in Journal, Modules, Flyout menu. Here we see two modules already created, but of course we can build as many as we want and place them on other pages or load them in various main menu items. The first module, Categories Only, is being used in a mobile header. This is a lightweight menu with just our top categories. You can create simple or complex menu systems and load them conditionally on different devices. We'll take a look at the mobile header and menus later in this video. For now, let's access the module we built for desktop use. Inside the general options, we have several choices for styles. We are already familiar with the menu, dropdown, and mega menu styles we've encountered in the header main menu section. Further down, we have some global options that apply to this entire Flyout module. But of course, each menu item can have individual styles. Let's now take a look at the menu items. We can see the corresponding menus in our storefront. Most of them are built as mega menus, which in turn load other modules. The main menu types are the same, with the exception of the Flyout. We also have a max width option that deals with the width of the Flyout container. The Flyout menu items are similar to the header main menu and have pretty much the same options. We have the menu title, optional icon, the link of course, and the menu type. This is a mega menu with a catalog module loaded in the builder. We've already covered this type of module and how it's added to the builder earlier in our video. It's the same approach, the same builder. You see how dynamic everything is and how any menu can display pretty much anything you want. As a style choice in this particular menu, we have a single column at 80% width to intentionally leave some empty space on the right side of the row, which is filled with a background image added in the row options. There are additional image options found here in the gear icon button. The background option is CSS based and thus benefits from the breakpoint rule, and in this case we simply remove the background image on screens below 1024 pixels. The second menu is similar to the first and it loads a catalog module with brands, as we can see in our storefront. We can edit the module right here or navigate to Journal, Modules, Catalog, and access the instance created for our purpose. In the third menu, we set up a different configuration with a banner in the first column at 30% and a products module in the second column at 70%. Remember that column width is controlled inside each column's options. Here is where you add breakpoint rules and define different widths for different screens and create the ideal layout on any device. The next item uses yet another configuration, and by now you should be familiar with how the builder works. This menu demonstrates yet another grid configuration with multiple columns and rows. Each loads a different module, as we can see in our storefront. We have some vertical links menu modules, an icons menu on the right, and another links menu module in a different row in a single column spanning horizontally across the container. A quick look in this module style section reveals the direction. Finally, we have a simple menu without any drop-down that just points to our chosen link, in this case our entire catalog page. Okay, so now we've covered an entire desktop header setup, and we've learned how to create and load menu modules and styles, as well as building more complex mega menu structures. But what if we like to use a different header we've seen in another demo? Well, in that case, we go back to the header section and create a module from the blue plus button. Like any other module, you can create multiple instances of the same header, each with different styles and menus, and assign them on different pages. Let's take a look at the mega header, which is quite similar to our classic header, with the distinction that the search resides in the menu bar. So we create a new module and save it. Then we activate it in the skin. Pretty simple. However, the header looks rather empty at this point, so we just have to add some styles and menus. We don't have to go back to the header section since we can access it directly from the quick edit button. So let's set up some quick styles. We give it a background and add a height. We load the top menu module, a secondary menu, and apply its dedicated style. This style can be customized however you want. You can see this type of header in Demo 3 and the distinct menu item style applied to that secondary menu. Let's also assign the main menu, apply its styles, go through the cart and search, and apply their own styles. And finally check it out again in our storefront. And it begins to take some shape. We can dive much deeper into each option and style and customize them further to fit our needs. The compact and slim headers offer more simplistic layouts. Here's the compact header in Demo 4. Notice the lack of the main menu bar and how the main menu and other header elements are in the same section, and the search input is displayed in a drop-down. In this header, the sticky effect applies to this entire section. The slim header can be seen in Demo 10, among others. A distinction here is also the lack of a main menu bar, but with the search wide open in the same sticky section. Feel free to experiment with all available headers and choose the one that best fits your needs. Let's now take a look at the mobile headers. We can set up a mobile header in Journal, Header, where we have three choices. Whichever we use, it must be activated in the skin. We have already set up a Mobile 1 header and have enabled it in the skin. We can access it via the Quick Edit, so let's take a look inside. We observe similar tab sections dealing with the various elements of our header. These are not much different from the same sections in our desktop header. Let's go to our storefront and set up the proper mobile texting environment so that an actual user agent is simulated. This will closely replicate a real device and is much more accurate than simply resizing your browser. To enable the mobile environment in Google Chrome, go to View, Developer, Developer Tools, and the Code Inspector will open. Now click on the Devices button and the screen will resize. We pick a device from the list and set the zoom to 100%. Finally, and most importantly, refresh the page to load the chosen user agent. So here's a pretty accurate version of our mobile site as seen on the chosen device. Back in our admin, let's go over some of the mobile header options and change a couple of them. We can set the background, the height, and some other common options. In the top bar, we find more common options and a Menus Align option which deals with the alignment of the menus available in the top bar. So, for example, I have a top menu on the left and the language currency on the right, which is treated as a top menu. With the Menus Align set to apart, they will be displayed on each end. In the top menu section, we have a menu module selector, and you already know how a top menu module is created. So why is there a top menu selector in the mobile header, since we've already assigned a top menu in our desktop header? Well, this allows you to create and load different menus on mobile that may be lighter or better suited for smaller screens. You can still assign the same menu used on desktop. All applicable menu modules are available to choose from. Further down, we find the language currency section, which can be displayed in a top bar or inside the mobile menu container. The logo section is pretty self-explanatory, but one thing to mention is that you can use a different logo for the mobile header only. This can be useful if you have a smaller or just another variation of your logo and wish to display it on a mobile device. In the main menu section, we can position the menu button before the logo. In the menu selector, we can assign a different menu or the same one used on desktop. But in most cases, the desktop menu may be too much for mobile devices, so we can create and use a different one, as we've done here in our example. If we edit the module, we see it's made up of a flyout menu and a few other static menus. This flyout menu has been created specifically for use in the mobile menu. We have several other options here. Notice we have an accordion menu style selector since the mobile menu is displayed in a vertical accordion type fashion. Inside this style, we have options for several sub-menu levels, and this means you can create different menu item styles. Remember, the menu item deals with the individual element and is useful when you want to have different looks for different sub-menu levels, like the inset option, which pushes the sub-menus inwards. The mobile wrapper style deals with the actual off-canvas container in which the menu resides. This is also used for the mobile cart and mobile filter, seen on category type pages. In the search section, we have options for the trigger icon, a menu name, the search style component, and some additional container options. In the mobile cart, we find more common options. You can also apply a different mobile wrapper style, and this is where you write the title seen here when the cart is open. Each mobile header can have 2 additional custom menu items that can link to any page or trigger pop-ups. There are several options here, so play around with them. And the sticky header with a few common options. The other mobile headers are based on the same principles. Just create a module, load your menus, apply styles, and activate the header in the skin. Since Journal 3045, we have introduced the possibility of using different headers on different pages. So as you know by now, the global header, active on all pages, must be assigned in the skin. But now, you can create entirely different headers and assign them to any page you want. So let's say I want a simple header on my checkout page to keep distractions to a minimum. I can create, let's say, a compact. I can leave it as is for now, as I can update it from the layout I'll be assigning it to. Save it and go to my chosen layout. I want the checkout, and we click on the layout options button right here. You can see how we can apply different headers and footers for both desktop and mobile. We choose our custom header, save, and check it out in the storefront. We'll add something to cart, proceed to the checkout page, and sure enough, we see our different header. Let's do some quick edits directly from the layout. We go back here, give it a bigger height, no top menu, none of this, move the logo to the center, turn off the search, the cart, no main menu, no sticky. Let's see it now. And nice, an entirely different header on a separate page. You can go further and create custom menu modules with custom styles, so you can really take your page layouts to new levels never before possible in Journal, nor OpenCart for that matter. Since we're on this minimal track, let's remove more stuff from this page, like the page title and breadcrumbs. We can do that in the Layout Style Override section within the same admin page. There are several options here, including hiding the header completely. Right now, I just want to hide the page title and the breadcrumbs. I can even create a totally different page layout style with a different site content width, different backgrounds, and so on. Let's save this as is and view the page. It works. Let's remove this upsell product section as well, and also create a simpler footer. In my layout page, I can remove this row, or I can just turn off the entire position. So this is gone too. Okay, now on to the footer. We access that in Journal Footer. And here's our global footer, which is also activated in the skin just like the header, but in the footer section, right here. You can create different footers for desktop and mobile, and now for any other page. Let's go back. So the footer is quite easy to grasp. Unlike the headers, which are currently predefined structures, this is nothing but a builder with rows and columns, and a few common styling options. You set up your desired grid with rows and columns. You create and add any modules you want in the columns, such as links menus, icon menus, newsletters, etc. Anywhere there's a builder with columns, you can add any of the 30 or so layout modules that ship with Journal. So to create a simple footer, I can build a new one from the plus button, but I'll just duplicate the current one and remove some stuff from it. I'll get rid of these rows by just deleting them, and leave the last one with the copyright and payment icons. This is an icons menu module, and this is a single item links menu module. Notice how this can be used as a non-linked text by simply choosing none in the link option. This makes the text static. We save this footer and go back to our checkout layout and assign it to the footer selector. Refresh the page in our storefront, and there we go. A very clean and simple checkout indeed. And of course, any other page will display the global header and footer. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and if you find this video helpful, would appreciate a like, and you can also subscribe to our channel for more videos.